All right, welcome back everyone. We are here at day 2 at Automate Live. Man, we've had an exciting day so far. Lots of amazing conversations, and we're gonna have one today as well. So we have Andy Zosel, who is the Senior Vice President at Zebra. Now, Senior Vice President of a lot of things, data capture scanning, machine vision, and robotics. So you really are covering a breadth of field, and we're really excited to have that conversation. Of course, my co-host with me, we have Chris Lukey from Manufacturing Happy Hour. To kick things off, tell us a little bit about your background and your role. I want to dive into Zebra,
Sure.
but I want to know, you have a resume of a lot of amazing companies over those years. So can you talk about how did you get started in this industry? What's been your experience?
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun in my career. In fact, my career started even before I had a career, so to speak, right? I grew up in the sawmill industry. I was programming PLCs when I was 13 or 12 years old, doing different things, and then I worked a little bit in semiconductor and process engineering, and then I moved into design and R&D. Spent quite a bit of my career in designing camera-based machine vision and fixed industrial scanning systems, and then was responsible for some of the engineering and then marketing of those systems at Microscan. And then moved over into Omron through the acquisition, picked up some of the automation and motion control business there. And then about a year ago, I moved over to Zebra to help run this exciting automation division, which has, of course, as you said, scanning, mobile robotics, and machine vision.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Zebra's portfolio has just been blowing up recently. In terms of expanding, it's been amazing to see a lot of the acquisition. What are some of the biggest acquisitions? I mean, there's Fetch. But then there was also a big acquisition on the vision side as well.
That's right. 2 of them, in fact. The latest acquisition was a company called Matrox Imaging out of Montreal, right? And that brought us just an amazing platform for machine vision. 40 years of machine vision technology, amazing platform, amazing architecture that we've really been able to leverage for things all the way from 3D to VGR, vision guided robotics, to all kinds of other things. And then building on that platform, just a little bit before that, we bought a company in Poland called Adaptive Vision, was really into AI and deep learning. So we're bringing these pieces together with Zebra's kind of traditional strength in optics and machine vision kind of imaging and scanning with the Matrox core machine vision, 40 years of amazing algorithms and machine vision with adaptive vision AI technology and bringing those pieces together, and it's been fun.
I feel like Zebra is kind of a nice embodiment of like the automation industry right now because you touch so many different things. So the next question I have for you is, with all the acquisitions, with the breadth of your portfolio, how do you prioritize what to focus on?
That's great.
It's kind of a leadership style question, but you've got a lot you could be doing, so how do you narrow it down to the right things?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, that's one of my favorite sayings. There's a lot we could do. What should we do, right? It's very simple, and prioritization is important. For us, it starts with the people, right? Of course, it starts with having a good team, and we've got a great team from both those acquisitions as well as the talent we've been able to hire. But not only our internal people, but especially our customers. One of our kind of vision purpose statement is that we want to create new ways of working to make everyday life better for our customers and their customers, right? So how do we help change how business is done, how that workflow is done, whether it's in a collaborative robot type environment, whether it's through a wearable that people use and interact with, or through our scanners or machine vision systems replacing some of those really tedious, dull and dirty type tasks, right?
And I think that was a really good highlight. So I was in your booth earlier today, kind of walking through, playing with some experiences, and it was really human embodied. It was human collaborative. There was a lot of wearable devices. I mean, everything from the robots to the wearable barcode scanners that you're doing. It's designed to be human friendly, not replace the human.
That's right.
How does that trend keep moving Zebra forward?
Yeah, I think it's exciting because, I talked a little bit yesterday in my talk about, how humans are such an amazing machine. When you start to break down the capabilities of humans, like we have 27 bones in our hands and the degrees of freedom and the ability that we have, there's no way we're ever going to directly replace humans. But we can help take away those really menial tasks, those kind of consistent tasks that are done like staring at a part all day. We can replace that with new AI and vision technology. There's a lot for us to learn there. There's a lot of upside to do there, but we're excited about kind of helping take that to the next level.
So this is your first time on camera here right now, but you've been on stage already here at this conference, and what you just started talking about, I think, ties very nicely in with the topic that you were addressing, which is you're talking about maximizing workforce efficiency and you had 3 technological avenues for streamlining repetitive tasks. So let's talk about the dull, dirty, and dangerous, the repetitive tasks.
Right.
What are, and we probably don't have time for the full keynote address here, but what's the Spark Notes version of those 3 technological avenues?
Yeah, so we basically broke it down. We said, okay, there's good engineering discipline, you break down a problem, and we broke it down, okay, you've got the head and the eyes and how you interpret and inspect product as a human, how much annotated data we gather through our eyes. We've got an amazing instrument in our eye being a stereoscopic 3D, high resolution color imager, and camera technology is evolving. We were showing some of our 3D cameras and some of those capabilities. So that sensing piece is evolving, as well as especially the AI piece. So we process a ton of images, right? From birth to age 18, we process at least a petabyte of data and annotate that in our mind just intuitively. So when I give you a part, even to an 18-year-old, he knows, oh yeah, there's a scratch there. Yeah. Getting a machine vision system to see that scratch is something only recently we've really been able to start to do. And so we can repeat, take those tasks away from kind of the head and the inspection. And then there's the arm piece. And what we were introducing was, a real tight collaboration between our camera systems on our machine vision with vision-guided robotics, making that setup even easier. There's a ton of cobot vendors here, but pairing that with the camera and the eyes, the arms and the eyes is really what takes it to the next level. And then the third thing we were talking about is the motion, the material movement, all the walking around that's done in a manufacturing and a warehouse environment and moving from point A to point B. Our autonomous robots in collaboration with our wearable devices can really make that process more efficient and make sure that people get the appropriate amount of exercise at work, but doesn't overburden them with just a ton of repetitive walking around a plant and whatnot using autonomous mobile robots, AMRs.
I think there's a general statistic out there, I don't have the exact number, but something around 80% of manufacturing processes are still done manually.
Yes.
Across the board here in the United States. So you covered a lot of great technologies and solutions that are simplifying, improving quality, reducing cost of labor, reducing cost of production. But it can be intimidating to a lot of companies who've never embraced this technology before. Right. And at the same time, there's a lot of misconceptions around this technology because I think there was a point in time where there was a lot of promises and then those promises couldn't be fulfilled because either salespeople like myself at one point in time were over ambitious on what the technology was capable of. So how do we as an industry, when we have almost 40,000 people walking the show floor here at Automate, something's happening in the industry. How do we go out and how do you address the misconceptions around this technology and integrating it? And where do companies who are first time adopting these solutions start?
Right, it's a great question. I think, for us, we fall in love with automation. We love automation. We just want to solve every problem with automation. And the reality is, like you say, automation is appropriate more in the right dose for the right customer type of thing. And I think it starts with empathy with that customer and understanding, where they're coming from, what they're trying to do. Are they trying to optimize their quality? Are they trying to digitize a flow? Or, what is their outcome that they're trying to solve? And then apply the right tool, the right case. I think, traditionally automation was very capital intensive, right? It required, huge feasibility study, proof of concept, deployment. But with collaborative robots, with AI, with deep learning, there's so many more tools in our toolbox, and those tools aren't necessarily as capital intensive as they used to be. The challenge is, of course, the complexity, right? There's just a lot more tools to apply. So understanding first the customer need, understanding what they're trying to accomplish. Sometimes it's as simple as starting with digitizing their process, which is maybe paper-based, or simplifying that to getting things like barcode scanners, getting it into the digital world, and then going from there, once you gather the data, to know, okay, here's the choke points in the process, here's the bottlenecks, and we can automate that first, because if you're going to automate a process, you got to look at the end-to-end. You don't want to create more efficiency, but still have the same choke point, right? So I think it starts with both understanding their needs and then digitizing it appropriately.
One of the last questions I've got is, we're here in 2024, looking ahead 2 to 3 years, what's one of your big bets for the automation and robotics world over that time frame?
So for us, again, going back to the worker and the worker enablement, the task management, we certainly are looking at continuing to develop kind of that camera system AI and 3D technology around inspection. There are, hard to say, but exactly, but there's on the order of maybe 10 million people in the world that day in, day out are just looking at parts, inspecting the parts. So that's a huge opportunity for all of us in the machine vision industry as one. Another opportunity is kind of that digitization of the workflow, and how do we help do the next best task through our wearables or through our mobile computers or those type of things, connecting those workers to the ecosystem. We're so used to using in our personal life consumer devices and electronics. It's a shame when you go into the work environment and all of a sudden there's no technology to work with. What we found is that at manufacturers or at warehouses, when we introduce our mobile computers or our scanners or our robots, the employees historically may have been intimidated. Now they embrace it. They love it. They like to work with technology at work. So we see that adoption of technology at work really coming into the forefront, especially around mobile computers and scanners.
What's the characteristic or the vibe you notice at the manufacturers that you go into where the front line embraces technology? Can you share a bit about that?
I think there is a culture, right, in certain manufacturers where they're seeking to improve and do things new and differently and wanting to embrace technology. Again, it's been such an amazing, revolution in our personal life in basically the last 15 years with mobile devices, and how can they bring that into the factory? Those people are waiting for, expecting that. I mean, there's probably no one in the Western world that doesn't have a cell phone, right? But then they go in the factory and it's like, okay, where's my electronics that I'm working with type of thing? And if we bring that to them, I think they start to see the value of that connectivity. And once you set that connectivity baseline, we're talking about the connected factory as Zebra. Once you have that connectivity, you get so much more visibility, and you know what the next step is, and you know how efficient and productive your workers are. You can do gamification, you can do all kinds of things that make work much more enjoyable, and quite frankly, bring people back to manufacturing and see it as more of an exciting area to be. And it's not just, hey, the robots are replacing people, it's people working in collaboration with the robots, with the wearables, with the technology. It's really exciting in that regard.
As we wrap up our final question, you really hit on some good points when it comes to datafication, analytics, and understanding. So I guess here's the question for you as we come back. We're going to sit down again in 3 years and see where we were. We're going to bring up this question. So when there's digital solutions and there's real world physical solutions, where do you see the biggest, I guess you could say, success when it comes to those two worlds combining on a warehouse or on a manufacturing floor? Like, what excites you most about what potential exists with that?
Yeah, I think fundamentally the most exciting thing is to take those tasks that are just simply repetitive and wear people out and frustrate people, and you look at the number of turnover in some of those areas where the tasks are just, the 3Ds as you talked about, the opportunities to take those tasks, move them over into automation and free up the creativity and the kind of diagnosing of how to best run those plants, use the real skill and creativity of people. I think there's a long way we can go in the next 3 years in that regard. And it's not really directly replacing people, it's replacing the tasks that people really are not, best suited for, that we can help with as an automation industry.
Replacing tasks, not replacing people, I think is a great summary line to wrap this conversation. So, Andy, we appreciate you jumping on Automate Live. Where can folks find Zebra?
Yeah, so it's pretty easy, zebra.com on the web, of course. We're on all the various social media platforms, and if you're here at the show, come on by our booth. We're just right up front by the entrance.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, Andy, Chris, always a pleasure. We'll see you guys again soon. Have a great rest of your day.